yourselves for hungry zombies, killer clowns, masked psychopaths, and chainsaw-wielding fiends. Spooky season is upon us, and we'll be your guide through some of Southern California's finest scare attractions. From nightmarish mazes to terrifying jump scares, we'll be reviewing every creature, ghostly whisper, and scream as we give you an inside look into the heart-pounding, bone-chilling world of haunted houses and immersive events. Turn off the lights, lock the doors, and join us for this spine-tingling special edition of Scripts and Screams. Now your hosts with the ghosts, Jessica Morgan and Chris Carter.
Heyo.
We're back.
Oh, sorry, I don't know what that.
Whoa! Do we have a special guest? I didn't know.
A little monster.
Oh,
little
okay.
monster got out of there.
I mean, yeah,
Sorry about
because
that.
of where we went and it being a haunted location, it is very possible something came home with us.
Something
No, I'm just kidding. It didn't.
This is why you don't play with seances,
Yeah,
people.
which funny enough, the event we're talking about tonight, there was a seance involved,
And we did go to it.
and I was at the table.
So maybe we asked for this without knowing it. We asked for it. This is why you don't mess around with stuff you don't know about, kids.
We never advocate for the unless you know what you're fucking doing.
Which we don't.
Which we don't. Yeah, we have a dog at home, so we try and play it pretty safe.
Oh my gosh.
All right, we're getting towards the tail end of spooky season 2024. It makes us very sad.
Yeah, it's terrible. I don't like that October is this far along. It's terrible.
It goes by too fast.
Can we rewind?
I
Can we
know,
start again?
I know. Luckily, we have a couple more. Maybe it's only like a week and a couple of days to kind of hit a couple of these haunts that we're talking about. But this one we're talking about,
This one.
there was one that we were super excited for. I know
A lot of anticipation.
Yeah, this is one that we had gone to years ago. Then it disappeared. Then it came back.
Oh my gosh.
It was just, I remember I still have the original tickets for it in my car just because how cool it was. And, you know, it was just one of those things where it was a really awesome event because it wasn't just a haunted maze. It wasn't just like a performance. It wasn't just food. It wasn't just liquor. It was all of those things. And it was so cool. And it was,
a lot of elements. Like I said, it's a haunted location. That alone is already cool. You know what I mean?
An actual haunted location.
And there's so much going on. And so we were so pumped for them to come back this year.
Yeah, I remember when I saw it on social media, I think I took a screenshot and I sent it to everybody that I knew that had gone before. So like, oh shit, it's fucking back.
It's back, baby.
And what was back?
Queen Mary's Dark Harbor.
Yes.
I needed a voice.
Oh,
change.
here.
But it doesn't work for me. You have to do it.
Queen Mary's Dark Harbor.
Beautiful.
I know, pretty good, right?
Thank you.
We're going to use this way more often now that Jessica's off of the ones and twos, if you haven't figured that out.
I had to show him how to do it, people. So now Chris is on it.
That's true,
That is a really great example of a horrible idea.
Yeah, we're back. So, talking about Dark Harbor, there's a lot to talk about. So we're going to try and maybe break it down into like, kind of like we did the Haunted Hayride, maybe like mazes and maybe like vibe in events. Because there's a lot to do. It's like a dark carnival, like an evil carnival is a way to kind of explain it.
In the past years we've gone, it's always had that vibe. One of the coolest things about it is that they have their haunted mazes are actually on the Queen Mary. So you were going through creepy areas that are honestly like things are breaking down on the Queen Mary. You know what I mean? It's an old ship. So it's like, and it's haunted. So you're going through actual haunted areas in these creepy corridors and stuff, and then having like characters jump out at you.
Yeah, there's a lot that you can actually kind of feel through there too. And just to take it back for a second, I believe the reason that they did shut it down was because the Queen Mary was actually sinking.
Yeah.
And the city of Long Beach had to like put some repair work in. Thankfully they did. We got Dark Harbor back, but
yes, we were worried it was gone for good.
Yeah, and I think you can still, I don't want to come too far off it, but I do think you can still like stay at Queen Mary, right?
Yeah,
like,
you can stay on there now.
You can.
And they've started up the like haunted tours that they do and stuff now, like where you can do the actual, they'll like bring you into areas and they use all those tools for ghost stuff and yeah.
Like paranormal, like investigators and whatnot.
Yeah, so they do a lot of cool stuff now. And so and then the same with Dark Harbor coming back. It has always been like a must go for us, I think, probably event.
super high.
Yeah, high on the priority list. Usually it's always been very affordable in past years.
Yeah.
And there's plenty to do. And then there was always like the cool thing that if you find out there's like speakeasies, like secret bars that
We'll get
are,
to
like,
that in a
the
second.
mazes.
Yeah, we'll get to like
These are all past year stuff I'm talking about that like makes
Okay.
us super hyped that we were like, this year we're going.
a lot of stuff to do, right?
Yes.
It's a lot of stuff to do. And
yeah.
what's great about it too is it's a different like different than what most people are used to in Southern California in terms of the venue. Like Hayride, it's kind of in the middle of it's not a cornfield, it's in the middle of the old LA Zoo and then Universal Studios, Knott's. All of these things are kind of functioning. Where when you go to Queen Mary, well, yes, it's functioning, it's a ship. Like
Yeah.
it's at the base of a ship. And so
Yeah.
you get when we went, just to kind of set this like the scene, where when you go, as it gets more like cooler, like fog starts coming off of the water. When we left,
yeah.
it was hard to see the amount of fog.
We
Like,
were like, well, how much of this fog is like fog they produced, and how much is
Yeah.
this just natural ocean
Yeah,
air
right.
fog? Because it was crazy. Like this whole area was just glowing with like the amount of fog and lights
Yeah.
at the end of the night. It
I
was
mean,
really cool.
and it's funny, we talk about that, like, as we make films and go to these haunts, fog is artificially produced in these places, but
Yeah.
like real fucking fog
Yeah.
coming off of the water,
Yeah.
and it's cold. So in addition to what you're talking about, the artificial fog, as you chill it, the longer it stays,
Yeah.
right? So like we have actual fog interspersing with like the artificial fog, and it's like this cloud of fog. So, and you hear like the fog horns, the water just lapping against the ship. Like it's a vibe. Like
It is.
it's completely different than anything else that we've done or do
Yeah.
in Southern California in terms of haunts.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
I just wanted to get that out there because I get excited about it.
Me too. And I was trying to taper my excitement for this one because I was terrified it was going to let me down. And like they've added some stuff. Like they didn't ever do like this kind of a seance-y thing show that they did this year. You
So
know
they
what I
added
mean?
it this year.
Yeah, they added that this year. And then they, there was, I think if you look it up, you can find out that there are again speakeasies, but they are going to be, you've always had to get tokens for them, but now you can actually just purchase.
I wonder if you've always had to buy. Well, I wonder if you have to buy them now because I don't know.
You can still get them by asking
you
around.
can?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was confirmed.
So we
but
should-
it's very difficult in past years when we've done it, we only ever usually get into one, and we're lucky if we get a different kind of token, like two. I think the most tokens
Yeah.
we got is like two different tokens.
So the distinction of that is when we say speakeasies, I imagine for the people that don't know, like, oh, there's a speakeasy themed bar. It's not like that. The speakeasy itself is kind of hidden inside of the mazes or on site.
There's no signs.
Yeah.
Like there's not a sign being like, here's a bar. There's just like clues. Like there's something that's going to be, that tells you where it is, but you have to like know what that is.
Yeah.
And then you have to like show them your token
And that's how you get in.
And that's how you
these
get in.
areas we'll talk about them in depth because that's one of the coolest parts of it.
But yeah, I knew that you could buy the tokens this year,
Yeah.
which was a plus because then it's like you can actually hit a few of them if you'd like.
Right.
And then it's still pretty like secretive as far as where those are.
yeah, nobody tells you. I think one person told us it was there, but only because we asked. Only because
You have to, if you ask and say, hey, is this a speakeasy to the right person who's there?
Yeah.
Then of course they're going to tell you.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like, no one's going to direct you. I mean, they might give you this general direction as far as like, well, maybe check this maze. Like that might be like, I heard there's one here, but they're not going to tell you exactly where it is.
Yeah.
And I even was like scouring the internet and Reddit and stuff to figure out where these things were because I was so afraid we would miss them.
Yeah.
And even that had not the full information of where they all were.
Well, there was actually one that we missed.
Yep.
So even though, but again, we'll talk about the speakeasies. We'll get into that, to the mazes, to the events. But like, I always like to run the spoiler flag up because I do like to spoil things. However, you can still go to Queen Mary. I think they run until like November 2nd, I believe. So we'll get everything we want to talk about out now before the spoiler flag.
Oh, are we?
Before the spoiler flag. Yeah.
I'm so surprised by you.
I know.
Usually you're like you're kicking and rearing to go. And so I've been trying to get my pitches in there. I've been like, there's 5 mazes, y'all. 3 of them are on the ship. Like,
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
That's a good place to start.
yeah, we're flying.
Take that as a yes.
That's right. We're flying through this, you guys. We're gonna get you there. They always, like Chris said, there's kind of a carnival vibe going on. There's legit rides you can get on that are there. There's like kind of a big ringmaster kind of show thing that's going on where there was like fire dancers and stuff. You know what I mean? Like there's like stuff you can go see that is just crazy exciting.
So when we talk about like Queen Mary or Dark Harbor, it's like it's this interesting I guess combining of all these elements, and the circus has kind of always been part of it, but you mentioned there's like the ringmaster. I think that's maybe their mascot or their flagship character. Oh no, that's the captain. The captain is the flagship character.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but they have like a big top ringmaster. Yeah.
And so they have in this big top, which is open, so you can just kind of see as you're meandering. Like I said, I think they have flame dancers and they have
Aerial
aerialists.
acts, yeah.
And that's one part of it. And then they have a DJ stage off in a different part of like the carnival-ish area.
Yeah, which was popping, by the way.
Yeah, it was crazy.
They have bars out in general too, like, and tons of food.
Oh
like,
yeah, their food offering is the best in all the haunts that I can think of.
Yeah, and again, like you don't have to go to these secret bars. There are bars out and about that you can hit up and stuff. And
it's a real party vibe. It's like a happening.
We saw some
fucking
drunk
vibe.
people. There were some drunk people there.
There were definitely some drunk people there. Yeah, but I mean, good. I mean, they didn't ruin our time, so hey, have a great time. Just don't ruin somebody else's time if you're gonna do that. So yeah.
But yeah, and then this year they kind of offered different ticket levels, which was a little different. Like they had a general admission, and there's always been like a front of line VIP kind of one, but they had like a mid tier one too this year.
Yeah.
Which gave you more priority with like a shorter wait or whatever.
I think 13th floor was doing that because they also did it for Hayride.
Oh, okay.
So but they didn't do it for Delusion. I know Delusion is part of 13th floor. I don't think you can offer a different ticket. Like
it definitely felt like 13th floor, like because even when you're buying the tickets for the stuff, it's like run the same way as like Hayride, where you're kind of purchasing your overall ticket, and then they start giving you all the extras. Like they have axe throwing again at Dark Harbor, and you know,
I missed that.
Yeah, they have all these.
Did. Yeah, they totally did. Yeah.
So they have these different separate little add-ons that you can do and everything that aren't super costly or anything, but yeah, definitely a 13th floor kind of thing. And then they have times that you enter, which also was new this year. I don't think we had this in the past for Dark Harbor.
No, I don't think so either.
This year they decided, okay, we're gonna actually, when you buy your tickets, you have to pick a slot, and you could enter early by buying a different, like a upgraded thing too, which does play into like what I have to say about this event eventually. So.
Yeah, I think that was a smart idea on them. I think I'm loving that these companies are kind of doing that now, so that way these people can kind of.
I think it's great for Hayride. I'm not a fan of it for this.
Really? Well, we could have gone earlier. Like I picked it only because.
No, you didn't.
Yeah,
I thought we went to like literally one of the earliest times.
Well, no, because when we got it.
OMG, I am so disappointed.
Part of the reason
hit the no buttons. Hit the no ones.
Okay, I gotta find it.
Sorry for not taking you seriously, my darling.
My gosh.
I do think that part of what a pro tip that Jessica and I like to talk about is that if you go early in the season, you can generally miss a lot of the crowd. The problem with that, in my opinion, is that when you go early in the season, the sun tends to stay up a little bit later here in Southern California. So most of these are outside. This whole environment that we're talking about outside of the mazes all take place outside. So you lose some of that. And so I remember thinking to myself that when I want it to be completely dark when we get there, I don't want the sun to be setting, because we've had this during Universal Studios before, and it just kind of kills the vibe. It's not as fun, the fog doesn't hit as hard, the lights aren't as cool, and just like it's just not as cool unless it's a night. So anyway,
I am disappointment.
Yeah, you are disappointment.
I am disappointment because guys, I'm just gonna say this without like full spoilers and stuff, but like if you're gonna go to this event, go as early as you can.
Yeah.
100%. There's so much to do at this event.
Yeah.
Okay, we better run spoilers soon because I'm about to start yelling.
Are we ready? Turn the spoiler flag up.
You do it.
Okay. Here we go.
Stick around.
All right.
Y'all,
Everything's on the table now.
I legit thought that the earliest we could get in was like 8 o'clock, and we had got like 8:15 tickets. And I was like, it was such a waste. We didn't have enough time to get through everything. Like, we barely hit everything we wanted, and we didn't hit everything we wanted. We missed out on stuff because of how late we arrived. I'm so upset now. If we could have went earlier, if we had had the other hour, oh my God, we would have hit everything we wanted.
Yeah, we did spend a lot of time with the speakeasies, though. Like, we spend way too much time with the speakeasies if we're trying to go through the mazes.
But they were so fun.
That doesn't matter. If we're trying to do everything, we
We
need
hit
to
it.
do
We
them.
still hit all the mazes. That's my problem. We actually hit all the mazes. Everybody. What we didn't hit was one of the speakeasies that we had a token for. That's what actually what I'm talking about. Is that we missed one of them that we actually wanted to do, and we found it, but they had literally just closed. So
Yeah.
even if we had gotten in at 8 o'clock versus 8:15, might have made it.
I doubt it. We would have found a way. We just spent way too much time with the speakeasies, I think. Like, it's
agree to
cool. Like,
disagree.
you're having a drink, you're talking, you're enjoying the atmosphere. It's fantastic. We got some great pictures and videos that eventually will be going up that kind of show these places. But
They are so cool, guys. Honestly, it was my favorite. I'm gonna just say it's my favorite part. The speakeasies were my favorite part.
dang,
more
the
than
Spiller
the rest.
flag just went up. And
I
you're
know
like,
I'm hitting it hard because
all right.
because I don't like you saying that we spent too much time in them when I'm like, nah, that was my favorite thing of this.
Okie dokie.
That's right. So, but we were there technically for the mazes, and the speakeasies were our big goals. We had bought tickets for the seance thing, so we knew we needed to hit that.
Yeah.
And kind of the rest was whatever. We didn't really plan to do any rides. We didn't really plan to sit and watch a show.
Yeah.
So those were kind of the things.
So getting into the park itself, I call it a park. It's not to the event itself. I mean, you have. What we should also tell you is that you park offsite. You can park offsite, and it's I think encouraged to park off the site because, like, it's hard to get off of campus once you're on the event like side of the water because you do have to cross a bridge to get in there. So
It's crazy.
Yeah.
There's not enough parking, so you have to park off
so
site
once
and
we
shuttle in.
and then get in line and then get, like Jessica says, go through the mags, make sure they do all that stuff. Even if we showed up at our time frame, you weren't actually getting in till probably about half an hour after that, just to get in. So let that kind of
Make your
figure into-
plans.
Exactly. Yeah.
Show up early. Know that the finding parking can be difficult, even though they have like the lots and stuff. It's just like navigating the streets of Long
Right.
Beach, which
Yeah.
you happen to be in areas that are one-way streets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So finding the lot, getting parked, then figuring out your way outside of like the garage was hilarious, by the way. There's literally like we had to go upstairs, down, and then back downstairs to like get out. It was like a little bit ridiculous.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. And then you have to wait for the shuttle. And the shuttles aren't terribly long.
No.
But it still takes a little bit, and it takes a bit to drive in.
And the shuttle's like a touring bus. Like, it's not like an 8-person van or something.
No.
You can fit a lot of people on there. But like you said, you're right. You still have to wait, So
They pile you in, they drop you off where the rest of the parking, like the priority parking, if you decide to get that is. And then you still kind of have to walk up to these giant lines to get in where they check your bags. If you bring a bag, it's going to be a longer time to get checked.
yeah.
And you walk through the mags and then you go in. So just know, even if you show up before your time, you can still get in line. You can still do all these things. I mean, I didn't see anyone get stopped because their time wasn't hit yet.
I don't think they would do that. Like, I just
As long as you're close, probably. I'm sure.
yeah,
it's
within
fine.
like half an hour, I don't think people would be like, "Get the fuck out of here, come back in half an hour."
So try to get your tickets early for sure because at least we went on a Sunday, which I think was a good play. It wasn't as busy.
It wasn't as busy.
No.
That's right.
And so we showed up, like we got in a little after 8 and it went until midnight. But we were like leaving like right before midnight kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Like it was a tight schedule for us.
So, and we should also say that we did get there's I think you mentioned it on the tokens to get into the speakeasies. You can purchase something like tokens as you're buying your tickets. And we also had to go separately, listen to a spiel, have them. So
yes, you have to go pick up your tokens.
So we were still burning time there
Yeah,
too.
there's some burning.
Even if we got there 15 minutes before our check-in time, we probably weren't feet in the event until about 45 minutes to half an hour after our check-in time.
Right.
So like Jessica says, definitely make a plan, definitely kind of be moving, because if you do that,
To do.
and it is it's just you're gonna sit, you're gonna have a drink, and you're gonna do all those things, but you also have to deal with standard maze fare.
Yes.
You know, you're still doing that. Just so like, it's not as bad as HHN, probably as casual, maybe a little less casual as Knott's, but there's still that.
Yeah.
You know, you're just taking time out to fucking drink and chit chat.
And the speakeasies close early, an hour
Yes.
earlier than the park.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. So we were told at one of the speakeasies, like she gave us a little warning of like, oh yeah, but just it closes at 11. I should have realized that meant all the speakeasies probably closed at 11, but I assumed it was just that specific one. And sure enough, it was all of them. So we literally, like, no joke, I looked down at my clock when we found the last speakeasy that we had a token for. When she told us it was closed, and it was like 11:01. Like it was like we were seriously right on the freaking line kind of thing. I was like, no. No.
Well, since we're really delving into the speakeasies, let's talk about those first. All
Okay.
right? So there are 4 of them, right? Or are they 5?
There's 5.
So
Technically,
there's-
you get 4 tokens,
But there's 5 speakeasies.
but there's 5 speakeasies.
Gotcha. And so how does someone who, let's say, bought the package like us,
Yeah.
how do they get another token to get into the speakeasy?
You'd have to talk to the characters that are out and about, not the ones that are in the mazes. But, like there's a ton of them like roaming around and interacting with people and scaring people.
Like scare actors.
And so you need to talk to them, and you have to be like, hey, do you know anything about the speakeasies? Or can I get do you have any tokens for the speakeasies? Have you heard anything about secret bars? Anything like that,
Yeah.
right? That's what we did in past years. And generally they'll either direct you towards where you need to go to find one, or they will have a token and they'll give you one.
So since we do have spoilers.
They may make you work for it. There's that.
Oh, yeah, that's wild.
We've had to I think we
we
had to do a dance party once. Like there's silly things they make you do. You know what I mean?
It's fun interactions. Like
Yeah.
it's a fun thing. You
Yeah.
know, it is intimidating to go up to a scare actor and talk to them and engage them about something that's just completely
Yeah.
not
And some
what
of
they
them
were talking
legit.
about.
Yeah. I remember the first year that we asked somebody, we were standing in line, and there was like a scare actor who was scaring people in line. And Katie kind of said something to them, and they had said that you need to ask the people who are out and about in the open area, because it was like,
Oh,
she was like, no, we don't have them here when we're at the maze kind of
yeah.
thing.
Well, that
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah,
Harder.
exactly. Can't stop the freaking maze and go ask for a speakeasy token.
Yeah, right. And it is fun how so during our kind of like, I don't know, our introduction, once we get our tokens, there's like a soothsayer, and they say look for something, and there will be a speakeasy next to that door. Very side questy if you play video games. And so
when you pick up your tokens, they kind of show you what the symbols you're looking for
but
will
not
look
even
like.
I never, so I saw the symbols, but I don't think one ever matched. I never matched them. Because there were like 12 of them.
I think, there was a ton of them, which was ridiculous. But I do think that they matched. I do think they did. There was one that specifically looked like one of them that I'd seen. But I mean, the whole idea, you get it. You're like, they kind of glow and they light up, and they're these weird symbols.
Yeah.
So you just look for a weird
bat sign.
glowing
Yeah.
symbol. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is, they aren't, I will say that they're not hard to find as long as you know that's what you're looking for.
Right. If you didn't have this information, you could easily walk right past it.
Yeah. But
So-
otherwise, because you go out, you're just like, oh, okay, cool atmospheric stuff. But
Yeah.
otherwise, that's it. But yeah.
Do you have a favorite speakeasy?
Yeah, of course.
Do you want to talk about all 4 of them?
I mean, we only went to 3.
So let's blow through them really quick. Let's not spend too much time on them because we could. I love the design of them. I love all of them. It's hard to have a favorite.
So cool.
Yeah, and they all have special drinks too. All the drinks are different.
Yeah.
I'll say that. So
I that's my thing is I was like, I feel like it's just so worth it. We were really lucky, and we got to do 2 that were on the ship.
yeah,
And then 1 that was outside, and the very first one you would see when you walk in the park, kind of a thing.
it's kind of like it's impossible. Well, it's impossible in this if you know what you're looking for.
If you know what you're looking for, which is also nice too, because it's really casual to go stop by when you want. And it was a great first, like, let's just jump into this thing.
Or on the way out too. You know what I mean?
Or
Like
on the
if
way out.
people are like,
But the way out is different. This is the one thing that was weird about this year too. Usually you exit the way you entered, and this year you didn't.
The way out was
Yeah, you
different.
exited through
You're
like the
right.
carnival area instead.
Yeah.
So there was like there's a ton of photo ops when you first come in, like tons.
Yeah,
But I was
love it
like,
there.
no, let's get in there. We'll come back through this at the end of the night.
It's more Instagrammable. Like I'm just going to take
Yeah.
that word that you mentioned than hayride, but in a different way. I think it's just so much more cool in terms of the stuff that you can get in pictures and lighting and scare actors.
yeah, it's spooky vibes.
Yeah. So the first one we saw was my favorite.
Really?
My second. No, that's my
Yeah,
second
see,
favorite.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say
So like
probably my second favorite too.
well, we walk through like so we find the signal, we walk in, we give them our token, and we walk through like what was we can say that we went to Shocktoberfest 2 years ago. May it rest in peace, thankfully. And it was actually a maze in Shocktoberfest.
Part of a maze.
Yeah. It's a ship, like a pirate ship.
Yeah,
and
there's a big pirate ship.
it's lit with these really gas lanterns.
you get to go
and
through.
It's so cool.
It was
It's
so
there's
cool. And that's
chains
like
hanging.
my jam, y'all. Like that's part of why I love Dark Harbor is it's all piratey and stuff.
Very much so.
So we like you literally go on the ship and then it's got like you kind of have to wind through before you go and find the bar, which is like even more cool. It's not like
Yeah.
I feel like even in past years, sometimes it was like you stepped into a room and here's the speakeasy. You know what I mean? And it wasn't always like
It was like that. You're absolutely right.
yeah, and it was cool, but it wasn't always like an area you want to hang out in. It's
Yeah.
not like you know what I mean. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, that's cool.
You
Like
could have
we found
spent
a secret.
a lot of time
Oh my
in this
God.
area. We did.
We did
I
'cause it
live
was
streamed
so
it Yeah,
cool.
took a shit ton of pictures, and it was fucking super cool.
Yeah, it
Definitely
was it was just set up so you could just hang out and look at the cool stuff. And then they all have specialty cocktails that like I don't think are sold anywhere else. They have mocktails as well. So if you don't drink, then that's available too. You know what I mean? So it was really cool. It was really cool. And of course we had to like buy one of the cocktails,
Yeah.
which I think we got different ones at least.
I don't know if we got different ones. They were okay. They were a little sweet for me.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. I think we're getting feedback from fireworks. I wonder if the Dodgers just won.
Oh my gosh, how funny.
Yeah, maybe. No, they haven't won yet. I don't know what that is. But something is knocking. We'll have to get that out in post.
Yeah, gotcha. Copy.
So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, what we can do. So let me just talk a little bit more about the first speakeasy. And I shut Jessica down in the sense of like, hey, we spent too much time there. But really, she's right. When you go to these events, you walk through an area and you talk about it. You enjoy it. You're there for the people and you're enjoying the moment and you'd love to have a drink and it completes that like fantasy. Like,
Yeah.
and you're kind of in a set. I mean, you're completely in a set. We are in a haunted pirate ship, for all intents and purposes. And so once we get out of there, we're just like, oh my God, are they all like this? They weren't. They weren't all like that. But the first,
But they were all cool.
They were all cool.
The three that we did were really cool, guys.
It's hard to beat the set. I'm a big set nerd, so anyway,
Yeah.
we're coming out, yeah. But the speakeasy was really cool. That was number one.
Yeah, number one, and it was really sick. They still had like cool, creepy stuff in there too. It wasn't just piratey. Like they literally had like a body that was hanging in there that had like these rune symbols on them and stuff.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like it was cool. It was like the vibes were awesome, and you just get to like hang out and have a drink in there, and it was sick. It was great.
It really was. Lighting was cool. There was atmosphere, lots of fog. They didn't skimp on the fog here.
No.
It was awesome.
And everything I heard was that the rest of what I thought was only 4 speakeasies were inside of mazes. So at that point, we were like, we should hit mazes anyways, right?
So spoiler alert, we did see 3 of them in mazes, but we'll get to that. So the next one, right? We saw the other 3. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think you're exactly right. I think 3 of them are in mazes and 2 are not.
So I think it's in infirmary. I think that was the first maze that we did, I think, on the ship.
Yeah.
Because we did walk through classically, you get in, we'll hit the mazes separately, but one of the great things about these speakeasies is that these ones are actually in the maze. There is a level of like, holy shit, I found something.
Yeah. So we went to infirmary for that maze first.
Yeah.
It just happened to be when we went all the way back.
That
was kind of like the first one we saw, and we were like, let's just hop into it.
Yeah.
And it had the best damn fucking speakeasy.
It was pretty cool. So I'll let you talk about it because I took the last one.
Oh my God, it was so sick, guys. So yeah, you look for the symbol, you find it. There's a person standing there, you get in. This one actually had to take us down an elevator. And then they told us that we were going to be like literally under the water. Like we were going deep into the ship.
6 fathoms down, I think is what they said.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is like 36 feet or something.
Which there was a lot of jokes after that about like, maybe you tell us that when we're coming back up and not when we're like going down, and it's like, claustrophobia kind of stuff.
With the history of a sinking ship.
Yeah, we heard that it was sinking before this, but okay, cool. But it adds to the vibes. You take this elevator down, and you guys, we were like in the freaking what is it called? It's like the engine room.
Yeah, it was so cool. Like the service
Oh my
elevator with all the
gosh.
windows, and then of course, like you said, the attendant saying, "Yeah, you're now underwater." Like, oh my god! So we walk
Yeah.
out, and of course they have it lit, right? It is themed with these really red
Right.
lights and like
But
these
it's just
giant
huge.
steel columns.
Yeah,
And
you're in this like huge chamber kind of thing going on.
yeah,
And it's just wild, and you can get your drinks and then you can hang out, and you're just on this like catwalky kind of like thing, and it's just so creepy and so spooky.
y-
And then you could also see it cool enough at one point you literally look up and there's a catwalk above you of part of the maze, of a
yeah.
different maze, I think is what we figured out. But it was a part of a maze where people are crossing it and getting scared. And so you just keep, as you're down in the deep bowels of the ship, you were just hearing screams as you're down there.
Yeah.
It is absolutely my favorite speakeasy.
It's
Fantastic.
great. It was super
We could have spent
cool.
so much time down there just because it was so creepy.
And that's where it kind of gets you. That's where it can get you, where your time management can kind of get away from you in a good way. In a good way. Of
Sure.
course, afterwards, we didn't know that we were going to run out of time. We didn't know that we were have like.
We didn't know they
capsules,
closed it
speakeasies.
earlier, the speakeasies. Yeah.
And so we spent a fair amount of time in both of these speakeasies, like you know,
Yeah.
the first one and this one, because it was just such a thing to admire. And the lower area had a bunch of like steel graded areas where you could walk around, and it felt like almost an exhibit that you could walk around things, notice them, and then come back around. It was a large area. It was like two big ass rooms. I think you could go two different ways, although you ended up in the same place that you're talking about, kind of over up looking on this catwalk with the other maze and hearing these people scream.
Yeah.
But all the while, you're 36 feet underwater. I think it was 36. I'm almost
It's something
sure.
like that. Yeah. It was pretty, it makes you feel like, whoa, this is deep.
Yeah, there's a moment when I'm in there and I was like, man, fuck, if this thing starts sinking, like how the fuck are we gonna get out? Like there was a legitimate moment where you know, it was a different level of fear.
Yeah,
you know?
totally. It was like, don't think about it.
Yeah, and don't be drinking, don't be thinking about this shit right now. It's
Right.
like it could go horribly wrong. But
Yeah. And then also a really cool part of this is like you're literally in the middle of a maze. So you just walked and then like stopped your maze experience to go into the speakeasy. And when you go to exit, you're back in the maze. You're back getting scared.
yeah.
And that was such a cool experience too. It's like you're just completely immersed. You know what I mean?
Because I love it in here. I fucking love it!
Yeah, we could have stayed there all like forever.
Yeah. If they would have served food,
Oh, I know.
we,
It's
we
funny 'cause-
probably would still be there.
This is one of those. This was like one of the speakeasies too that like they oddly before you went down the elevator wanted you to pay for your drinks up top and
Yeah.
then go down and pick up the drinks. So you couldn't buy drinks downstairs. And I think it was actually an internet issue we were joking about because like you didn't have signal down there. You know what I mean? And but the thing I kept saying was I was like, actually, it's probably a good idea because I feel like people would hang out there and just go
Yeah.
buy for another because you have no idea what you're going into at first.
Yeah, that's a
And
good
then you don't
point.
know how cool it is. So you're like, oh, yeah, we'll buy a drink. So
That's a
let's all
good
get
point.
one drink thing and then go down there and be like, oh my gosh.
You know, that's it's interesting you say that because a lot, again, you are on the ship, so there are things that could technically go very wrong. And so I wonder, like, I'd like to know if how they felt about security in terms of like, this guy's have way too much. Like, they must have a short leash in terms of cutting people off because if
I
one
would
of
hope,
these
yeah.
people fell over or just fell over by accident on the edge,
Oh my
like,
gosh.
yeah, they're gonna ruin it for everybody.
Yeah, totally.
So
Hopefully nobody does that
hopefully nobody does
because
that.
this was one of the ones that I thought I saw the most drunk people like getting on and off the elevator.
Oh shit, really?
I wonder if there's just something to that. Like if you're like that below sea and you're drinking, are you more drunk? These are the questions of like drunk people, by the way.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is your equilibrium like off a little more?
Oh, maybe.
I don't know,
I don't
but
know.
people seemed drunk when they were like coming out of this place.
Yeah. It was, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, okay, that was our second one. And our
Yes.
third one was we ended up, again, it was also on the ship.
Yes, there's
And-
when you exit one of the mazes, which I think was Feast. I think when
Oh, I think you're right.
yeah, I think when you
yeah.
exit Feast, you kind of end up on like the big kind of main area of the ship, like sort of the like greeting area.
They,
the,
they
like,
talk about how old the ship is, all the
kinda lobby,
compartments.
yeah.
That's a good word. It's basically like a hotel lobby for the ship.
yeah, and it's like it's where their museum-y stuff is. Like you said, you can start doing all that. That area had one that we just happened to bump into. This was one of the ones I didn't have any clue it existed there. So it wasn't technically in a maze. Anyone could have went into this area.
Yeah.
And
you still need a
then
token to get
you
in,
still,
though.
of course, to get into the speakeasy. But that was the other one that we found. That is, again, you go down into the ship, which was also cool. This one you take steps to go down into the ship, and it was a lot more like where they would walk you through a museum kind of thing.
100%. They just lit it in red for this one, but they did. Yeah, they talked about the percent, the boiler not percentages, but pressure points. They talked about something. It was a very
got little
museum-y.
plaques and things like that around so you can read and things like that. It was still really cool. Don't get me wrong, but it was not as cool as going under the water.
Yeah, this is probably my least favorite of the speakeasy, but it was still really cool.
It was really cool.
If that's where you started from and you found the other ones last, I mean,
it still had a lot of cool areas to hang out in and stuff.
Yeah, and the drinks were probably my least favorite. I don't remember specifically what it was, but I remember not liking it.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah, but anyway, and also in this area is also where if you have visited Midsummer Scream, they have some of the holograms and like people floating in water. Some of those. That light mapping that Jessica talked about.
Projection.
She just learned about. Yes, thank you.
Oh my
Projection
gosh.
mapping. No, and
the seance ends up being in this area.
But also they have a neat little area decorated with some of their key characters and how they got to be
true.
there.
The ghosts. You mean their key
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, the ghosts.
Like who's haunting this ship? I mean,
right? But also how they got to be ghosts or how, their backstory.
What's their backstory?
Yeah, and I thought that was pretty cool because you see a lot of them, and then in their advertising, and you've got some of their key characters, and so it was interesting to see how that plays out, and especially one character like Steve, I think is his name, that played into our seance.
It's true, yeah.
Because that's how we I want to get this right because we did this. Samuel.
Samuel. I was gonna say Steve seemed too weird.
The summoning of Samuel, Lady Mabel.
Lady Mabel's, yeah. And Lady Mabel's the one that gave us the tokens too and gave us our clues as well.
Oh yeah.
So Lady Mabel was a theme.
Yeah, which it wasn't the same person, not to confuse anybody, but it was an individual dresses made up the same exact way.
It's like a character.
3 or 4 Lady Mabels.
We saw her wandering around later too. And again, it was a different, version of Lady Mabel, maybe.
Yes.
But yeah, that's where the summoning thing ends up being in that area as well. So, we had tickets to that too.
Yeah.
Do you want to hit the summoning or do you want to hit the mazes?
Let's talk about the summoning because maybe that's going to be things you can do. Let's talk about things you can do, right? And so the summoning, again, 13th floor, once you buy your tickets for Dark Harbor, you'll be asked if you want to upsell them. Do you want to get some seance tickets? Do you want to be able to get food there pre-ordered? Do you want to be able to do Axtoin? Also, we had mentioned the carnival rides. Those cost. That's an extra charge. So you have to buy tokens for that.
That's true. Yeah.
So Lady Mabel was one of the things we got. And at this point, we were hyping our night. We had hit 3 speakeasies, we're 3 drinks into whatever we're drinking this point.
I think we had hit the 2 and then we were coming back to that speakeasy after we did Lady Mabel.
Oh, I thought it was 3. Maybe we'd done it before.
We'd seen her and we went, and that's when we went and talked to her, and that's when she kind of warned because I was like, okay, we'll come back in a little bit. And she was like, just know we close at 11, and I was like, oh, okay.
That's where we heard that.
That's why I heard it then.
Got it.
But it's I just kept being like, oh, it's that speakeasy.
Got you.
And then it clicked later when we were running out of time that I was like, what if it's all of them? And it was.
It was. So Lady Mabel was fun. I'll say that. I think it's a 10-minute. It's not a 10-minute experience, but it's not very long. You walk in. I
think it is 10 minutes because they kept saying there was 15 minutes in between each run, kind of a thing.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
But I think these aren't timed. I just think you check in and you do it, and it was fun. I was one of the people that got pulled up, and we had it's a lights out, lights on, and it was this demon or Samuel who runs around and kind of scaring people, and I got plucked from the crowd. I thought it was fun. It might have been $10. The number 10 sticking in my head, so maybe it's $10 to do it.
Okay.
But I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really cool add-on, and if you're on the fence about it, just do it because it was cool. I enjoyed it.
I thought it was cute. I'll be honest. I actually think I wanted a little bit more out of it.
Was it worth $10?
I don't know.
What?
Maybe. I think it's what? Oh my god.
Sorry.
I think it's on the line for the $10. Fine, $10 is fine, I guess. You're right. they definitely set up a lot more chairs to fill a lot more people in there.
Yeah.
And it's like we filled up the first row and like a couple of people were in the second row.
Was it? Yeah.
So we probably had 12-ish, 12 to 15 people in the room.
Yeah, it wasn't too hot of a commodity.
No. And they had said it, and that's the thing. Maybe if they had reduced it down to be smaller, like you were tighter in the room and things like that. Because they did some cool stuff with like, it's a show. They got like audio things going on, light things going on. But when you have that many people in the room and then there's weird noises happening and it sounds like someone's dying, but you're like, there was never any people over in that area.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
So it's funny. You're right.
Yeah.
I was one of the people that was at the table. So for me, it was always off into the crowd.
That's true. Yeah, in the crowd. So you probably couldn't tell.
No,
While
not
it's
at
like
all.
I'm sitting there and there's nobody sitting behind me. So when I hear it's behind me, I'm just kind of like, okay.
Yeah, it's definitely a blank hue. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. And so there was like a little bit more I wanted out of it. Like you could tell you were on like a sound stage or a weird like setup area. You know what I mean? You could hear things that were going on outside, which
Yeah.
kind of took me out of it a few times.
It wasn't super immersive. I'll say that. You're
Yeah.
right. You're right.
So there's things I wanted a little more, but I will say for what it was fun. It was a fun little thing to do.
Yeah.
And it was cute. They still did some really fun things because again, there was moments that like they had fans and things, so like wind would hit you and stuff, like when the spirit was coming. And
The people who were friends with the person who I got picked, they were screaming.
but yeah, there were people who were screaming for sure, who were terrified.
Yeah, like
So there is that. Like some people were like mad scared, and it was cool. Like the spirit does show up, and it does freak you out, and it does a lot of jump scary things.
Yeah,
and
it's like a blackout room to like the person being right in front of you.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
I think they could just refine it a little bit, and then it would probably be pretty sick. And like I said, I don't. If it runs that often, I feel like you could do it with smaller groups, or you know what I mean. Stick to the amount we had, but then maybe just, and especially if you put us all kind of in a circle, or
I was
something.
thinking, yeah.
Yeah, something a little more involved where everybody's a little more involved instead of you, because they had it lined up like you're watching a show, and then they, like Chris said, there was a table that was like out on where the
Seance
stage
table.
area would be, and she
Naughty
needed.
little love life, my
and-
palm.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding.
And she needed, and then Miss Mabel needed two people like from the audience to come help her and put their hands on the table and do the thing. And so yeah, Chris volunteered and got picked, and another girl did too. And so it was cool. And I'm just sure, especially for Chris, like because when you were right there and he like shows up, that had to be pretty cool.
It was cool. Like, and you're making such an effort to, they said, keep your hands on the table, like to not move, which we've learned to keep your hands on the table now as, people. But yeah, you make such an effort about that. So it was cool. It was cool for me, but I can see if you were just an audience member, it might be like, nah, it's kind of boring. Let's get
It was
me
okay.
involved.
It was fun. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I can see that.
Just a little more refinement. I think they could do it.
So in addition to the Someone New Samuel,
Yeah.
obviously they have a shit ton of places to eat, right? Like,
Right.
it's like places where it's almost overwhelming in terms of like what do I want? They've got the big ass turkey legs, like you
Yeah.
get the Ren fairs.
Mhm.
Like you mentioned, they have liquor and spades, beer, mixed drinks. Like it's
All the like fried things you expect, like
Yeah.
Snickers and stuff like that.
that's
and
true. The giant
yeah.
hot dogs.
The corn in a cup and stuff like
yeah.
that. Like, yeah, there's
like,
a lot to pick
A
from.
lot of stuff to pick from. And then, like we mentioned, is the carnival, which it feels like it's separate, but they do a good job integrating that with like the big top maze.
Yeah.
It's like it's in that section of the park, kind of adjacent to the boat. And
And it's so fun, guys, because like there's a point like Chris needs to go use the restroom kind of a thing. So like me and like Lizzie was with us, so we were both like hanging out, but we got to hang out and watch the freaking fire show that was
the big top,
happening.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like that's the whole thing is I love when there's more things going on, so that even if you have to kind of step to the side to like tie your shoe, I don't know, do something really
Right.
quick, or you are eating and doing something just like a little break, there's still stuff that's like happening around you.
Yeah.
And that happened a lot. Like even when
Oh,
we were
yeah.
in lines for mazes, there was still scare actors who would come up and like yell things at you or try to spook you. And
Yeah.
like it was really good for that. Like there was always something happening.
And that's the carnival part. Never mind.
Yeah.
Then the other part of it is they have s'mores. There's like a shooting gallery.
Yeah. That's
y-
right. They did have some more games like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all themed. Like they have like these skulls that apparently like have fire coming out of them, and you make s'mores off of that. It's really cool.
That's cool.
In addition, they have a dance floor. Well, it's like a dance section. It's in the parking lot, but
Yeah,
they've got
the
this
DJ.
big ass stage.
Thursday through Sunday, they have Lovecraft.
We love Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Loving the craft.
And it's sick.
So yeah, there's so much to do and the things you can just pop in and just like, you know what, I don't really want to go to a maze. I just want to sit here and chill out and have a drink or have some food and just enjoy the environment. Very, again, we talked about like this from like Hayride, but this is Hayride on steroids.
Yeah.
You know, Hayride on steroids, not Hayroid.
Yeah, no, I do think that Dark Harbor is like a notch above.
Yeah.
And then we get into mazes.
So the mazes. Now this
Oh
is
my
kind of a hit and
gosh.
miss for me, you know? And so,
There's 5 mazes,
and the big catch is that some of them are on the ship.
which is like the thing because
Yeah.
Shacktoberfest basically they weren't allowed to get on the ship, so they tried to do everything that Dark Harbor did, but you know they didn't have the ship, and I think it suffered for that.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And then I don't know if they had as much space. It felt like probably because they were throwing more mazes out there on that open area where usually the carnival is set up, so it just felt
Yeah.
like there was less to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which was part of the things that hurt it. But for this one, it's like, hey, they're bringing it back, and we got 3 mazes that are on the ship.
Which, I mean, they're just so cool. I mean, I don't want to hit one. I don't want to hit them individually. You know what I mean?
No?
No. Well, I mean, I guess we
Okay.
can if you want to. Like, if someone doesn't go to Dark Harbor, we ran our spoiler flag up, so like we can get into it.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things that I remember about them, and just you know what I mean. So let's take it away if you want to.
No, I was gonna say, what do you
Yeah.
remember about him?
There's something about going onto the ship.
Oh, it's sick.
Yeah, like and
No matter
it's-
what.
Yeah, and I think that changes like your expectation and everything that you had in mind when you're there. Once you get on, once you cross whatever you have to, I don't even know what it's called. You're an aquatic person. Do you know what it is?
Aquatic
Once you
person.
know what I mean. Like once you get onto the fucking,
When you bored?
okay, when you board,
Yeah.
whatever platform you cross into, you board, like shit changes. The smell is different. The air is different. Like it's just different. You can tell you're in a place that maybe you shouldn't be.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I don't.
And that's the thing. It's true. They don't have to decorate a lot because it's. Oh my God. I'm sorry. We didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, we did,
Well, but we did it.
but we did.
But yeah, it's creepy. It's dark. It's like got kind of almost a musty-ish smell to it.
Yeah,
you know
very
what I
musty.
mean?
Not
Like
almost. Very much. Yeah, it's very musty in there.
the metal looks old. There's like rust. There's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of wild going in.
It feels like there might be some things that are condemned in there, like
right.
where you're walking through at least.
Right.
Yeah.
So the mazes that were on there were like infirmary was like the first one we hit. And again, that one had a speakeasy. The next one we hit was feast. And then the last one was the doll one, the lullaby. That's all on the ship. And so I feel like it's funny they kind of like revamped a lot of these. They've done some of these before,
Yeah.
but they were like reimagined or like all new or whatever for 2024. But they've always had a creepy doll that's been on the ship. And don't get me wrong, it's
Yeah.
very successful.
Yeah, that to me was the one I remember most
The
about.
doll?
Too. Yeah, because and we should long corridors,
Mhm.
uncomfortable backlit characters where you have this shadow and you're walking right
Yeah.
to them. I think that's really cool.
So this one, it's like in the depths of, this is the description, in the depths of the Queen Mary's first class swimming pool, the sinisterly playful ghost of Scary Mary rises to accost passengers and guide them toward a watery abyss, a vortex that leads to the chilling underworld. And also, if you know anything about Dark Heart or Queen Mary, they always talk about like the first class pool and how it's supposed to be a really haunted location.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No?
No.
Oh yeah, if you look up anything about like their paranormal stuff, they always talk about the first class pool is supposed to be very
Oh.
one. It was like elite, but also it's like very haunted, and yeah, it makes it sound like somebody drowned there.
Oh, did somebody drown there?
I don't know. I have
Okay.
to confirm that, but it makes it sound like that, right?
Right. It plays into it, right? It plays
Yeah.
into what people are
And
expecting.
this one did have that moment. We literally got to be in a freaking pool,
Yeah.
y'all,
Yeah.
and the way they did it was fantastic.
That's what I remembered about all the mazes.
It
This
was
is the one
show-stopping.
part. Yeah, this is the one moment that I remembered about all of their mazes, and it was awesome.
It
It
was
was fantastic.
awesome because yeah, they literally did basically like a
It was
laser,
a laser.
and they filled it with fog. So anytime you're in a room that's filled with fog and they use a laser correctly, is so creepy because you
Yeah.
feel like you're kind of walking through either water or like some kind of swampy feel, and
Right.
you can't see what's below it.
Exactly.
Except we were in the pool, in the bottom of the pool, walking through it with the laser above us. So it was different for me in that sense, where it looked like we were underwater.
Me too.
Yeah. And then there were like swimming people,
Yeah.
figures.
It was a great fucking setup.
so creepy. It was
Yeah.
like ethereal and like dreamlike. It was so creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm with you. That one had a show-stopping moment there. That was really good.
Absolutely.
So the other one that kind of stands out to me for the ship was Feast.
Oh, did it?
Okay, yeah, I get this because Feast, okay, I'm going to read it off. Step inside the back end of the ship's kitchen to witness the origin story of the chef, who began his career as a young, ambitious, and handsome butcher with his eyes on the head chef's role aboard the luxury cruise liner. After chopping up flesh for years on the ship, the butcher grew resentful towards the ungrateful first-class passengers who consumed his meticulously prepared meats. Frustrated, the butcher takes recipe creation efforts into his own bloody hands by adding a special ingredient that no one can quite put their finger on. Will you be able to escape the wrath of the butcher, or will you be served up next?
This was actually the trailer that they showed at Midsummer Scream to kind of get the hype up
Yeah.
for the mazes and whatnot.
Right.
Apparently, they like this character.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like the chef, I think, is a character, and now they just made it more butchery. Like his was his origin story. It's like going backwards, which was cool because we got to see kind of different iterations of him and stuff, which was really fun. But the reason it stood out to me, there was this hilarious moment. Because it's what you expect. There's going to be a lot of gross meats. There's going to be people getting cut up. You know what I mean? All
Yeah.
that fun stuff. But a hilarious moment where he starts leading. Chris is ahead of us with Lizzie, and me and Dustin are kind of in the back end. And he starts leading them into this tube that's kind of like, it's supposed to be like a meat processing thing, I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
And you guys had to get in and crawl in. And then
Yeah.
he asked me and Dustin to follow him, and we were able to go around to the other side where there's a glass between it. And we
you can watch us.
and we watched
Yeah, that's
them
right.
crawl through the meat.
That's right.
Well, we just stood there and laughed with the scare actor. Like we like knocked on the windows and laughed and pointed
That's
and things
true.
like that.
That's right.
It was hilarious. It was such a good moment where it was like the scare actor just taking it like a step up and being
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? We're torturing these people. Come join me. It's really
Yeah,
fun.
Watch where your food comes from, type of thing. Yeah, they did it a couple times. They changed the platform where you can choose to crawl through something or
Yeah.
walk around it, which
Yeah, Dark Harbor
Yeah.
does do that, which is really fun. In a few of their mazes, they had those moments of like,
Yeah.
how do you want to go through this?
yeah.
But that
This
one,
it was all right. Like,
but
to
that
me,
part was so funny
it
to
was
me.
okay. Well, okay.
It just made it a little special for us, like a special moment that we'll remember.
Other than those moments, for those two mazes, to me, it's always cool because you're walking through a place and they don't have to do much to it. But I mean, it was nothing special. It was cool, but it was nothing special. Like I think the mazes, other places are much better, but this has the added value or effect of you're being on actually on a haunted ship.
The ship is so cool.
The ship is
there's-
cool.
There's like nothing else you can say about it. Like, because he's right. It's like if this wasn't on the ship, is it as impressive? And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it is. But because you're on the ship, it's really freaking cool.
It gets a big pass for me. Like it gets a
Huge.
bump.
Because the same, like the infirmary ones, like, you know, a doctor, kind of like a, what is it, surgeon sort of guy or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and he's supposed to be like trying to do things. He's operating theater, dazzles spectators. Like it's just an interesting thing where he's just doing these like wild surgeries and stuff and creepy
Yeah.
things.
And I think this is less themed to like the boat itself than Feast and Lullaby.
Yeah.
Just because it feels like you could do infirmary anywhere else. You really can't do Feast or Lullaby off the ship.
That's
I think
true.
you might have been able to do infirmary off the ship.
Sure.
But you know, and all these mazes are long, and we should say we did infirmary first. That was where we found the speakeasy.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun.
It was
that
so fun.
Yeah, that was really fucking
The
cool.
fact that that was in there, it was like, it kind of made you forget the rest of the maze because it was
Yeah.
just so cool to go into that speakeasy.
I mean, that might be what I remember most about
Yeah.
that maze is that it had that really cool speakeasy.
that was the standout moment.
yeah.
And then the other two that they had were the one that when you first kind of walk in is called Breakout and On the Run. So it's supposed to be a double maze, Breakout and On the Run. So it's like prison people, but then they actually are on the run as well. And so it's supposed to be double long kind of thing, double maze at the front. And then when you're in the carnival area, there's the Big Top Terror.
So, like, I want to hit these individually.
Sure.
These are the last two mazes we did coming out. We did actually Big Top. I think we did Big Top last,
We did.
right?
Yeah, we went to Breakout because there was supposed to be a speakeasy, and there was.
Yeah.
And that's the one we found, and they wouldn't let us in.
Yeah. So, in addition to that terrible, heartbreaking story,
It was
this
heartbreaking.
one was seriously understaffed. Like, it felt
Yeah,
like
we did miss some things, right?
it was incredibly long, almost too long. Like, are we walking through the junk here? Like, did they really dress this? Or are we just like in a back area that may be used for staging? Like,
Right.
when's this shit gonna end? It would have been impossible to have that place fully staffed, in my opinion, with anything less than like 50 people.
I mean, it's a good point. It's like a really long. I mean, it's great because it's really long and you're just in it the whole time. And again, it would have been fantastic to have a speakeasy be in the middle of it,
Sure.
break it up,
Yeah.
go back in. But
Yes!
right. But one thing that was cool about it is it's all about like Samuel the Savage, who again was the spirit that we conjured, Samuel.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool that we went back to it and we're like, oh, hey, we're on a maze that is about that character that we saw.
Right.
Like
That
the
was
themes
cool.
were coming full circle.
That was fun. But other than this, like this maze was completely forgettable for me. I think that I read a review for another maze where somebody had said less eloquently, but similar eloquently. They said that it felt like you were walking through decorated rooms with no scare actors. That's what this felt like to me.
Yeah, there was like kind of that moment. And it's still like I still had, because once you got to the like open area, like once you're out of the prison area, there were some cool effects and stuff they were doing. Like, do you remember the dude that was up on the roof, like up on
Yeah.
a storage thing?
Yeah.
We kind of saw him ahead of time, but like there was people behind us who didn't, and he like jumped down at them and stuff. There was like some cool stuff in there that I was like, that's actually cool. But the thing is, he's right. Like that was few and far between. You were kind of walking through and there was some animatronics, or there was like, nothing half
Yeah.
the time. And
A
then
lot of the time.
yeah, and then you came around and then there was that. So that was like, yeah, that was kind of the letdown for that one, I would say. But otherwise it was really cool and long. And I was probably let down because there wasn't the speakeasy thing too, to be honest.
Yeah, double negative.
Double negative for me.
Yeah.
And then we went to Big Top. And Big Top was like the maze that we all agreed that if we weren't gonna hit a maze, that would be the one we could miss.
Yeah.
Just because none of us are huge circus people or afraid of clowns, or like it just doesn't feed into like what we're usually interested in.
Sure.
But I think we were wrong.
I loved it. This was
think
my
we were
favorite
wrong.
maze. And to preface it too, we were on the way out. Like, let's just pop in. There's no line. There wasn't a line.
Yeah.
I figured there'd be no scare actors there because it's getting late.
And we just did the other one and it was empty. Yeah.
Exactly. Like everything was going against this maze.
Yeah.
And it was so cool.
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
I was scared in this maze more times than I was scared in any other like thing that we did at Dark Harbor. It was awesome. They
Yes.
when you walk through the platform, it's kind of movable, like there's squares, and where you walk, I think someone almost fell. Lizzie
Almost biffed it. Yeah. Because the things
Again.
would shift. I always forget this about these ones. Like if you do a circusy one well, you can do so many fun things. Like you literally can start playing into like hypnotist or like magician tricks. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like once you start playing with that stuff, then great, fantastic. And it's like bright colors. You can do black light stuff. Like there's so many fun things you can do.
Yeah.
And that was part of it. It's like we very much would have those moments where we're like having to hold on to the rails because something's
Yeah.
happening, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean. And then the ground would shift suddenly, and Lizzie did almost trip, but luckily she didn't.
There was a ball pit.
Yeah, there was a ball
You
pit.
could crawl through some things. You go around it if you wanted to. Yeah, it was. They changed the platform. There
Yeah.
were times that people were above you. Someone got me above me and scared the shit out of me. Like there was this
Yeah.
character on a high platform, kind of shooting down. Man, that was.
Yeah, they had like bungee stuff again. A little
Oh
bit in
yeah.
this.
Okay, that's what it was.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So there was some really cool like stunty things, and then it was just a lot of fun.
And you do go outside too. Like as you can go
Yeah.
outside, they kind of walk on these giant bales of hay, and these have these really cool animatronics with a view of the Queen Mary. And there are still scare actors running around. I got really good by one of the scare actors that were just in that space, and I'm like, oh, let me get a picture of the Queen Mary because it looks fucking incredible here.
Yeah.
And then bam. So
Boom.
it was. I really enjoyed that. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was our biggest surprise, probably.
I'll take that as a yes.
And so
And I heard supposedly there's a speakeasy in there too.
No, really?
Yeah, but we didn't see anything for it. And again, this is now late. This was like towards the end of the night. So I kept thinking that when we found the other speakeasy and they were closed.
They turned the lights off.
I was like, turn off the freaking symbol then. Like, don't let me get my hopes up. Like, and they might have done that by the time we were at Rain.
Yeah.
But that's just a tip for those who decide to, if you're listening to this and don't mind spoilers and you're looking for that, it's possible that the other speakeasy is the big top.
Yeah. I'd love to know.
I know.
Well, we did the mazes, we did speakeasies, and the events. So, like, let's talk about Queen Mary first of all, as terms of value, right? Because, well, actually, is there?
Yeah, I mean,
else?
so I will say that it was more expensive this year, right?
It was way more expensive.
Yeah, generally in the past, this has always been a pretty cheap affair, and it's always been like, why wouldn't you go? This one, it was more expensive. And we very much, like I said, we went all the way to the end with hitting all 5 mazes, doing one extra thing, only one. It was just one show we did.
Right.
And then it was the speakeasies, which Chris said, did take up some of our time. So, and I agree, we did hang out a bit in those. But that's what I'm saying is I'm like, do plan to go there early, plan to do this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a carnival. Give yourself time to enjoy the shit.
We were pretty lucky that, again, the pro tip of like, if you really are into these haunts and you go to something like Midsummer Scream, like for their convention, they do give you discounts on this stuff. You know what I mean? Or if you don't go to that, then at the very least, like sign up for like their like mailing list, because they will put usually pre-sale tickets out there that usually are cheaper. And so it's like we did get some discounted because we went to Midsummer Scream, and then we were looking for the pre-sale stuff as well.
You're kind of in the know, right?
Yeah. So that's the whole thing. If you do those kind of stuff and you're you know what I mean? Like then generally you can get cheaper tickets. And that kind of led us to deciding to do priority so we could get through lines a little bit faster, and deciding that we could spend a little more to do the tokens and the summoning thing. You know?
And we're talking about cost and whatnot. And the cost was different for us than it will be if you get your ticket now. Like the Speakeasy 4-pack is now $15 and it was $10 when we got it. I was wrong too. The park doesn't actually open until 8, but you can buy an early entry pass at 7.
Okay, so see, that was my understanding. And that, again, now, so sorry, people, and sorry, Chris,
That's okay.
because that was my understanding of it. And I will say, with that in mind, that is such a short time.
It's hard. It would be hard to knock
8
everything
o'clock
out.
to midnight is so difficult. And that's why I was saying, I swear we got like the earliest tickets we could, like, because I remember you were trying to get 8 o'clock. And then we were trying to confirm who was coming with us. And by the time we could almost confirm it, or we were waiting, the 8 o'clock sold out and we had to jump to 8:15.
Yeah.
And so it was like, F it, we're buying the tickets. And if they don't come, we have to find other friends to take this ticket. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's hard to, I will say, like, that's kind of a knock against them for me. I get the early entry thing. And I know it because I know that certain places like Halloween Horror Nights was notorious for having early entry
For free.
in the past for free. And it was like you just either knew it was there, or it was kind of like if you were in the know, you knew you could go early. And you did have to there was only a few mazes open. It was usually still daylight. There was like some knocks against it, but it did help you hit everything.
Yeah.
For them to be like, to then start charging for it, I was like kind of against that.
Yeah, it's kind of scumbaggy.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. But it is also sometimes worth it if you're only going one night and you need to hit everything.
Yeah.
And then, so when this one did it, here's the difference though. Early entry for Halloween Horror Nights is not at 7 o'clock.
It's at 6.
Yeah, it's earlier. I was like, so for this to be like early entry gets you in at 7, and then like the actual event starts at 8, that seems off to me.
Maybe that's when their permit starts. I don't know.
Maybe, or they do want it dark. You said that a lot of their haunts are outside. So
Yeah.
I get it. Maybe they do want it dark. But oh my gosh, guys, like it was so hard to hit everything. And I've been hearing the biggest feedback I've heard from other people going is that there doesn't feel like there's enough time to hit everything, like not do everything you want. Like you're like, oh my gosh, like scraping for time. And so with an event that already feels like it's so tight on time, you also have the staggered entry times, which I get is to avoid having a giant line at the beginning. But I'm like, it also is making people cut their time shorter. Like I hope those tickets are cheaper to go in later. You know what I mean? Like you
good
get
point.
less time.
I don't know.
It's not like when it was Haunted Hayride, you can get everything done within that time and leave. Like, you know what I mean? You could
Yeah.
spend like 2 hours there and book
Oh my
it.
God, yeah.
You know what I mean? But so to me, the timed things make sense for something like that, but not for this. There's so much to do.
Yeah.
Like,
Especially if you just want to chill. Like you're not in a
Yeah.
hurry to do anything. Even if you bought front of the line passes.
right.
Even if you bought front line passes, you'd still have to move in and shake. And if you want to grab
It's
dinner,
huge.
go to the bathroom, maybe listen to a song or two,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Hit a couple of
We have
speakeasies.
never gone to Dark Harbor and felt like we hit absolutely everything we wanted to
Yeah.
do. We've always felt like, oh my gosh, we spend basically the whole night there and being like, yeah, I wish we'd got this, but we didn't. But it was still really fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I that's a knock against them for me this year, I would say, and I really wish 13th Floor wouldn't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's interesting because you talk about how to stagger entry and like how that could kind of help. But in this case, because there's so much to do, it kind of hurts it.
It does, and everyone's hanging out. Like, there's not people who I don't think anyone's coming to this event and spending 2 hours and then leaving.
Yeah. And we should say we went on a Sunday. So I don't know if the
Yeah.
hours change I'm sure the hours are later on Friday,
It might
Saturday.
be longer, so you might have a better, but no, that's going to be busier. Saturdays we're
Yeah.
sold out every single time for them.
Yeah, that's
you know what
true.
I mean?
That's true.
I don't know. So that's just my little gripe
I
with
mean, I
it.
talk about as far as like value goes in terms of like I guess it depends on what side of the world you're on, because if you're near Hayride, I think Hayride and Queen Mary costs are very similar. So Queen Mary is $51 and Hayride, I think it's something similar to that, to be honest with you. It is, well, that's less than that. It's $36.
Okay. Is that just for the hayride?
That's
though?
a great question.
Yeah, I think it was when you get the other stuff too. I think
You
you're
are
right.
right. It's $46 for everything.
I mean, if
So
you
it's a-
compare those two,
It's a difference of like $5, let's call it, right?
you can definitely do Dark Harbor over that. Then.
Yeah, I
because there's just so much more, and they should know that right away. There's 5 mazes right away.
Yeah.
Versus 3.
Yeah, right. I mean, even if there's no hay, even without a hayride, it still doesn't. I don't think it compares to Dark Harbor at all. But I definitely think that when we saw Dark Harbor, we were very excited. I think when we were there, it for me lived up to everything I hoped it would. Now, again,
Yes.
the mazes to me were nothing groundbreaking. I think my mazes, my favorite mazes are someplace else. But I do think, and this has always been true for Dark Harbor, just the environment, like
Yeah.
the vibe you get. It's not.
It's a vibe.
Yeah,
it's a party.
And it's not like hayride vibe. Hayride is you're in the middle of the Midwest, fucking jack-o'-lanterns everywhere and hay, and it's orange. And
Yeah, it
this
feels
isn't that.
Halloween.
This is like an evil carnival based around Halloween. And so,
like I said, more party vibe than anything.
oh yeah, definitely more of a party vibe.
Yeah.
Definitely more of a party vibe.
And I
so-
really enjoy that. And I get you. Like the mazes aren't anything crazy other than the fact that you get to go on the ship, which is just so cool. Like
yeah.
that's really what it has going for them. But definitely, yeah, I enjoyed. I'm with you. I had high expectations and I was trying to taper them. I do feel like they lived up to the expectations because especially the speakeasies alone were like unbelievably improved, like 300% improved from past years.
Yeah.
Like that
Very
was
cool.
so
They
cool,
almost-
so memorable.
Like the one that was themed actually felt like a maze, and the two that were on the fucking ship just felt like they were like you got to see something that you weren't supposed to. And then you get to have a drink while you're there too.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic. So if you can make a suggestion, definitely get the speakeasy tokens.
Yeah, I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
I do.
Because if you have to hunt them down, I mean,
You're not going to get them all.
right.
There's no way. There's not enough
We
time.
to get them all.
Yeah.
Fucking-
Yeah, we had the tokens and we still missed one.
Yeah. So I think Queen Mary's back. It was a huge success for me. I think everybody in our party loved it. I don't think there's anybody that didn't.
No, yeah, I
you
think we
know?
all had a really good time.
And yeah, I think that if you can go. Hopefully it'll be around for a while, because when it was gone, it was heartbreaking. If they have to charge a little bit more to make sure they're back next year and the year after that,
Sure.
fucking, we're on board for that.
I know. I am excited. They're back and I hope they keep going with it. And hopefully they get a little bit of feedback so maybe they don't let us in as late and things like that. But
yeah, that's true.
and of course I would love it to be a little cheaper, but I will say for $50 for this thing. Yeah, that's totally worth
that
it.
might be the cheapest. That's the second cheapest ticket that we had to buy.
I mean, there you go. It's worth it, guys. I do think that it's awesome to have them back. Like
yeah,
100%.
we talk about value, and this is definitely
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
So if is there
Anything else you want to talk about? Dark Harbor.
I just want to say to the spirits, goodbye. You are not allowed here. You do not get to follow me home.
do
and
not
do
to get
these
to, or
things.
we have a dog, so
We have a
they can't
dog,
follow him home.
so
either.
please.
Yeah, we got a kid. Yeah.
Great.
Well, okay. So for Chris,
And Jessica.
we'll talk to you later.
Samuel.
Samuel, is that you?